And then I'm like, well, I don't know what I'm doing. I just play. I don't notice when I'm fast or slow. So, I guess nobody's surprised that with me it speeds up, huh? It's because I never took my Ritalin when I was a kid, so. Okay. I guess that was funny. Test check. Yes, that one's working. Please turn in your Bibles to Matthew chapter 5. And we are preaching a series through the Sermon on the Mount. Right now we're in the Beatitudes. We're almost done. Next week is the last Beatitude. It's the one that people are most excited about. It's about how happy you are when you're persecuted. I'm kidding, of course. That's not the one we love the most, but yet the Bible actually says you will be happy if you're persecuted. So I guess we just have to wait till we get persecuted to find out. Yes, if someone, we have a nursery. So, yeah, so if you are in the bulletin that you are doing the nursery, you can take the children to the nursery now. One thing I forgot to mention is, if you remember that men's prayer meeting that we went to in Madison, there's actually one the day after the wedding on April 15th at that same church. Of course, the wedding's at that same church. And it's 8:30 a.m. And so I got a card about it, and so I'll keep that on the back table, but I forgot that during the announcement time to mention. So, of course, so Saturday, April 15th, 8:30 a.m. Okay, so that's, of course, a blessing. I know I'll make sure I let Tim know, too, because he really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
So we're preaching a series on the Sermon on the Mount, and the reason that I am doing that is because I got to thinking about what Jesus said. The last thing he said before he went to heaven, he said, "Go ye therefore," Gregory, they're doing that. Yeah, that's, what's that? I think there are a AAA somewhere. You might need to look for it. I think there are, but I'm not sure. You look for another package, look for more batteries somewhere else. And one of the, it might even be in that same one, but just down at the bottom. Okay, yeah, AAA. I think there are AAA in there. So, but Jesus said, the last thing he said before he went to heaven, he basically gave 3 commands. He said, "Go ye therefore and teach all nations." And that's the part of giving people the gospel, sharing the gospel. And then he said, baptizing them in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and the Holy Ghost. And of course, that would be people who receive Jesus as their Savior. They need to be baptized as a picture of death, burial, and resurrection. But then he said, teaching them to observe all things whatsoever I have commanded you. And as I have mentioned before, the idea of a command is kind of not really accepted in our culture. Even in workplaces today, your boss doesn't usually tell you what to do. Your boss says, "Could you do this?" or "I'd like you to do this. I wonder if you could do this for me. Thank you." And there's nothing wrong, of course, with asking nicely and telling someone and then thanking someone for doing something. But the point is, we've gotten away from authority and we've gotten away from commands. And there is one area, I guess sports is that way too, probably a lot of times the coach, probably now they're all snowflakes and the coach has to ask them nicely. I mean, after all, in sports now they don't know if they're male or female anymore. So, but anyway, I don't know how it is in sports, but there probably still are some old school coaches that are like, "Get out there and clean them out." Okay, they're giving them an order. "Get off the field, get back on the field," But I bet in sports, the ref gives commands. And I bet people have to obey his commands. So, I don't know. But I know we've gotten away from commands in our culture today, but I know the one area where they still have commands is the military. Is that correct? They don't ask you nicely to get out of bed in the morning. Last I heard, I've never been in the military. We could ask Jason. But
he gets up at 4 every day. He has to report by 5 for PT before he goes to work, and then he works 12 hours.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that they don't say, "Jason, honey." Do you think that if you got enough sleep that you'd be able to get up and stand at attention? You think you'd be able to salute when whoever captain goes by? You think you could salute because it makes the captain feel better when you salute? They don't. They're like, "Stand at attention, 10 hut," right? Okay. So, and you say, "Sir, yes, sir," right? They're not asking you to say that. I know the Army says yes, sir, and I've heard the Army says yes, sir, and the Marines say sir, yes, sir. But if you say sir, yes, sir, in the Army, they'll tell you don't sandwich your sirs. So, and that's a command too. I bet they don't say, hey guys, how many push-ups do you think you could try to do today? I bet they say, give me 40 now. They give commands. And so we do have some areas of our culture today that still give commands, but they're few and far between. Unless, of course, it's the person under authority. It's not uncommon for children now to command their parents, right? And for people to even riot and command the policeman what to do, right? But, of course, we know that in the Bible, it is the person in authority that gives commands. And in this case, Jesus gave us a command. He didn't give us a choice. He said, teaching them to observe all things whatsoever I have commanded you. And so, this is not an option. The red letters, reading and obeying the red letters is not an option. It is commanded. And so, I have taught, read the red letters. I've taught you to read your Bible, and I've taught new believers you need to read the commands of Jesus Christ and obey them. But then I got to thinking about that, and I thought, well, maybe as a pastor, the Lord wants me to actually preach on these commands so that we don't miss them and that we really understand them. And so I felt the Lord leading me to do this, and it was hard for me because I normally do preach on all different topics every week and just pray every week on what the Lord wants me to talk about that week. And this is kind of a commitment for me to have to preach on the same thing for a while. And but I did feel like it's what the Lord wanted me to do, and I've been really enjoying this. I've been learning a lot as I study this and talk about this with you. And pass on those commands to you. So in Matthew chapter 5, we have a section called the Beatitudes. And I've told you before, the word beatitude doesn't mean a be-attitude. Attitude is spelled with two T's, those of you know how to spell. Those of you over 40 who know how to spell. I'm kidding, that's a joke, it's a joke. But anyway, two is spelled T-O, not the letter, not the number two. Okay, but anyway. So, and U is Y-O-U, not just a U. All right, so R is A-R-E, not an R. So those of you that know how to spell, why was I talking about spelling now?
The Beatitudes.
The Beatitudes. Attitude is spelled with two T's. Is that correct? Those of you know how to spell? Yes. And the Beatitudes are not spelled with two T's. They're spelled with, well, actually three T's. Two T's in beatitude, but actually attitude has three T's in it. That's better. But I meant the two T's together. That's what I was trying to say. I know how to spell, just not how to talk. I need to drink water more often because I get a lot more amens when I do that. So I know I don't drink water because I'm holding this with this hand and I got to open. So I could probably do that. No, my finger. Yeah, I could learn how to do that. I did. Yeah. So I'm learning. It's that therapy. Okay. Beatitude actually is beatitudo in Latin. And it means beati is happy and tudo is a state of happiness, a condition of happiness. And so, happiness. Beatitude means happiness because Jesus said, blessed or happy are they that are poor in spirit, blessed are that mourn. And so what I've been saying over and over again, and I say it over and over again for a reason, as I want us to remember this, you do not know what will make you happy, and I do not know what will make me happy. Only God who created us knows what will make us happy. And He teaches us what will make us happy here. And honestly, almost every single thing that He says will make us happy here, we go, wait, what? But yet we need to learn that. We need to be reminded of that. And it's interesting, too, that Jesus doesn't start really with commands, even though He's going to get to the commands. He's got a lot of commands in here. But He starts with setting our thinking straight. That's really where He starts. And He's like, you want to be happy? I'll show you how to be happy. And then He explains to us what real happiness is. And so I've called this section of this series, I've called it The Secret of Happiness. Because it is a secret. Because honestly, most of us grew up not knowing this. But yet now the Lord is teaching us how to be happy. The secret of happiness. So as we've been doing, we probably won't do this the whole way through. But as we've been doing every week since I started this, is we will stand together and read this section of Beatitudes together out loud so that we get it clear in our minds. So please stand out of respect for the Word of God as we read Matthew chapter 5, verses 3 through 12. Matthew chapter 5, verses 3 through 12, we will read all of it together. Matthew chapter 5, starting in verse 3. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are they which do hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. Blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are ye when men shall revile you, and persecute you, and shall say all manner of evil against you falsely for my sake. Rejoice and be exceeding glad, for great is your reward in heaven. For so persecuted they the prophets which were before you. Heavenly Father, teach us how to be happy. Fill me with your Spirit now, and I pray that we would learn what you want us to learn from this passage. In Jesus' name, amen. You may be seated. Happy are the poor in spirit. You understand, I'm not correcting the Bible. Blessed is a good translation, but it's just that we use the word blessed different today. So I'm just helping you understand what that word blessed actually means. Happy are the poor in spirit. If you understand that you need God, you will be saved. And boy, that'll make you eternally happy to know that you're going to heaven and to be in heaven forever. But also, if you understand that you need God, you will read God's Word, and you will be happier because you read God's Word. If you understand you need God, you will come to church, and you'll be happier because you came to church and God taught you the things He wanted you to know, and you fellowship with God's people. If you are poor in spirit, not only before you're saved, but throughout your life, if you see your need, a poor person is a person who has needs. If you see your spiritual need, you will always come to God to meet your spiritual needs, and you'll be happy. But also, blessed or happy are they that mourn. God brought sorrow into the world because of sin so that we would understand sin and then we would seek the solution. And so we can be saved through the sorrow of sin and the consequences of sin, but also we can be spared the consequences of sin. And so we are going to mourn, but then God will comfort us with forgiveness, and then someday He'll wipe away all tears from our eyes, and we will be eternally happy, even though we mourned on this earth. Blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Meek is basically to be humble, to be lowly. And when we try to get our way, then everything goes wrong for us. But when we trust in the Lord and we surrender to Him and we're meek and humble, and David talks about this in Psalm 37, where he says, fret not, and he says, don't be envious of the wicked. He says to rest in the Lord and wait patiently for Him. We will be happy if we're meek, because now we're trusting in the Lord and we're letting Him fight our battles, and we're not frustrated that we didn't get our way anymore. We're trusting in God, and we're waiting on Him and His timing. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. And yes, not only will we have spiritual power now, but also someday we will rule the world, rule the nations with a rod of iron, because we were meek and we trusted and waited on the Lord. Blessed are they which do hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. And the opposite of filled is empty. If we don't have a hunger and a thirst and a desire to become righteous, we'll be empty. We think pleasure will make us happy, but actually it is righteousness that makes us happy. We talked about that Psalm 32, where David said, when I kept silence because in my sin, my bones waxed old through my roaring all the day long. But then he talked about how he acknowledged his sin and God forgave him. And he says, for this cause shall let everyone that is godly pray to thee in a time when thou mayest be found. And he talked about, be glad and rejoice in the Lord, all you upright in heart. He describes the frustration and the deep struggle he was in when he was not hungering and thirsting after righteousness for that year that he was out of fellowship with God. But then he described the joy he had when he came back to the Lord. Even though there were consequences, he had joy when he came back to the Lord, because now he had fellowship with God. And so we need to know that pleasure will not make us happy, but righteousness will make us happy. Then he says, blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. God's love is unconditional. He loves everyone equally, everyone unconditionally, but His blessings are not. And one of those blessings is mercy. His mercy is not unconditional. He says you have to be merciful to receive mercy. And the way we all are naturally in our human nature is when we sin, when we do wrong, we want God to show us mercy. We want other people to show us mercy. But when another person does wrong, we want to throw the book at them. We do not want them to have mercy. And we saw that in the example of the unforgiving servant. He was forgiven $10 million, but he wouldn't forgive 16. We saw that. We have to be merciful to obtain mercy. And then last week, I did kind of an unusual message. You remember I had the table, and we talked about, blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. I did that on purpose, though, because there's a teaching out there that says that what we teach, when we say you need to save yourself for marriage, you need to not look at pornography, you need to dress modestly and cover your body, and all these things that we taught, and keep yourself pure, and be careful what you watch and what you listen to, and save yourself for marriage, and that's what God blesses. That'll make you happy. There's a teaching in our culture now, even among people who call themselves Christians, they call that toxic purity culture. And it's that when you put people under pressure to be pure, then they have all these psychological problems, and they have to go to therapy, and they have to recover from this terrible way they were raised, whether it was like a conservative homeschooler or the independent Baptist movement, and there's this whole teaching on that. And we learned that that wasn't true, didn't we? It's funny how the pure water wasn't toxic, but the water that was impure, that was toxic. It's impurity that's toxic, not purity. And then I offered you that food on that glass platter, and it's amazing. None of you, Mr. Jacobs, he played a little joke on me. There's always one person, right, who messes up. There's like the one person in the class that messes up the teacher's lesson, the one person that messes up your illustration, but remember you pretended to grab something out of the garbage, right? But nobody wanted to take the stuff that was in the garbage. I brought you a garbage from my house with real garbage in it, and you don't want that garbage, but you all took something out of that glass platter that had the cheese and the olives and the fruit in it. You like that, all right? We talked about that, how if you want, you can be a vessel unto honor, some to dishonor. And yeah, God can use you if you're impure, but it won't be for a good purpose, right? It'll be like a garbage can. Just like he used Joseph's brothers, even though they were sinful and wrong. He used Joseph's brothers to accomplish his purpose. But Joseph's brothers went through a lot of bad things because of what they did. It wasn't a good purpose, but he did use them for a purpose. And that is why Joseph said to his brothers, don't be angry with yourselves, because it was not you that sent me here, but God. That's what he said. So he understood they were vessels unto dishonor. Oh, but in the story, when at the judgment seat of Christ, when Jesus sets fire, the fire shall try every man's work of what sort it is. When Jesus sets fire to your pile of wood, hay, and stubble, and gold, silver, and precious stones, are you going to want to be Joseph's brothers, or are you going to want to be Joseph? You're going to want to be Joseph. And so what we realize is, it's Joseph's brothers were like, Joseph, you have toxic purity, because you're the goody two-shoes who always tells on his brothers, and you have these dreams and visions about how we're all going to bow down to somewhere. He was the goody two-shoes. Here comes the dreamer, here comes the toxic purity guy. He's always the good guy. He gets the coat of many colors, because he was pure. I don't even need to tell you, Reuben wasn't pure. He slept with his father's concubine. I don't need to tell you, Judah wasn't pure. He slept with his own daughter-in-law. I don't need to tell you that which was the one that wanted to kill him? I don't remember. All of them wanted to kill him. They weren't pure. They were toxic, not Joseph. They called Joseph toxic. And then you know who was toxic? Potiphar's wife. She was impure. Or Joseph, who ran away. Joseph was not toxic, he was pure. Potiphar's wife was the toxic one. So remember, purity is not toxic, impurity is toxic. We think pleasure will make us happy, but purity will make you happy. I can't even begin to tell you the blessings. Hey, if you're able to come to Aiden's wedding, I really encourage you to come. And Aiden's in love, and he doesn't understand a lot of what's going on right now, and that's okay. He'll figure it out over time. And I don't mean he doesn't understand his own life or about God or about Savannah. He understands that. I mean, he doesn't see right now. He doesn't even comprehend, I don't believe. Aiden, he's going through at work what I went through when I was a young man trying to be pure, working with people who didn't care about purity, who thought purity was toxic. He's going through the same stuff. They're telling all the same jokes about him at work that they did with me. And at the time, I didn't know the long-term benefits of what I was doing. I was just trying to obey the Bible. Listen, young people, obeying God today, you don't even know the blessings. We never can know what the Lord will bestow of the blessings for which we have prayed, till our body and soul, He doth fully control, and our all on the altar is laid. You don't even know, young men, you don't even know how good your life's going to be 10 years from now if you decide you're not going to look at pornography. Young ladies, you do not even know how good your life is going to be 10 years from now if you decided to keep yourself till marriage. You don't even know it. We never can know until all on the altar is laid. So Aiden right now, he's in love, and he's not perfect. He's my son. I can tell you he's not perfect. You all know he's not perfect. But you know what? He's tried to be pure. I'm sure he hasn't totally succeeded. I don't think there's anybody who's perfectly pure. That's why I said, remember, you have to keep coming for cleansing. You keep washing that dish so you can keep serving food on it. But I just got to tell you something. If you're able to come, I'll encourage you to come. If you're not able, it's fine. But I encourage you to come, and it's for this reason. I want you to see that there's nothing toxic about that couple at the altar. If the Lord tarries, I'm sure Aiden really hopes the Lord tarries another 3 weeks. If the Lord tarries another 3 weeks, and the Lord keeps both of them alive, the Bible says, you know not what shall be on the morrow. We don't know how long we're going to live. We don't know what all God has planned for us. As the Lord liveth, if the Lord will, we shall live and do this or that. If it's God's will for those two to get married, and if God keeps them both safe, and if they, forgot to turn this one off. There we go. If it's the Lord's will for them to get married, and if God keeps them safe, all right, and those two stand at the altar, you know, Aiden's trying to obey the Lord, and he's not perfect. Savannah's trying to obey the Lord, she's not perfect. But you know, I've been married 23 years. I'm at the other end of it, but I am farther in. Some of you have been married a lot longer than that. And you know, I know how God's going to bless it. He doesn't. I mean, well, of course God's going to bless me, Dad. You think I don't know that? But he doesn't know. No. He doesn't actually know. He doesn't know by experience. And the world is saying Aiden and Savannah are stupid for waiting till marriage. Trust me. Everybody I work with thinks it's dumb and stupid. Some of them, half of them don't believe it, that they have been keeping themselves pure. And the other half think it's stupid if they believe it. I do too. Well, here's the thing. It doesn't really matter what you are. I think God says this is the right way. And I just want to tell you something. There's some blessings. That's incredible. And, but it's more than that. See, Aiden, why am I talking about Aiden? I don't know. It just came to my mind. See, Aiden right now, he's doing it more for himself. He's like, I'm going to try to obey God. I want to do right, and I believe God will bless me. But you know, there's more to it than that. You know, when Jesus comes back, he's looking for a bride that's clean and spotless and blameless, and she's going to wear white. It's in the book of Revelation, the scary book that nobody wants to read. It's in there that the bride is wearing white. And you know, purity in the church makes other people want to be part of the church. I don't need to tell you that impurity does not make anyone want to join a church. But purity in a church makes other people want to be part of the church. And you know, what Aiden doesn't even see, and maybe he does, maybe he's smarter than I give him credit for, but I think he doesn't even realize how many other people will be affected by this. Because a lot of other people will be affected by this. Because when you are living for God, it encourages other people to live for God. And that's a blessing that God wants to give us when we're pure. Purity is not toxic. And I can just tell you that I really don't think anybody's going to go to that wedding and go, man, this is so toxic. I can't even stand this atmosphere. I need to get out of this toxic wedding. Look at her. Look at that white. Look at all the smiling faces. Look at the way she's grinning at him. Look. Have you watched those two look at each other? It's like nobody else in the room. Look at that. It's so toxic. Not toxic. It's very non-toxic. So, purity is not toxic. I guess I was just not done preaching that sermon last week. Purity is not toxic. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. God can use you. You'll be close to him. You will never regret being pure. You will never, ever, ever regret being pure. They shall see God. And we come to our text this week. This is a tough one. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. You know what's interesting? It doesn't say they shall be the children of God. There are a lot of children of God who are not peacemakers. It says they shall be called the children of God. Now, you could ask the question, is that God calling them his children? Well, they shall be called the children of God. You know what I think? I don't think that's God calling them his children, because God already knows they're his children. I think it's other people will call them his children. Now, if you want to interpret it as God, well, that works, because has this ever happened? Is that my kid? I don't think that's my kid. Let's check the DNA. Has that ever happened? Of course, people say that. I can't believe my kid. I've actually said that about Aiden more than once. I can't even believe that's my kid. Okay? And I'm sure you've all done the same thing. And remember, you know how husbands and wives are? It's your kid that did that. Well, he gets that from you. They both do that, you know. You know why? Because if your kid is embarrassing you, you don't want to admit they're your kid, even though you know they're your kid. So you're not going to call them your kid, even though they are. So you could interpret it as God is going to call you his kid if you're a peacemaker. But listen, this is so important. I really believe they shall be called. It's talking about other people will call you a child of God. See, people can't see your heart. People don't know if you're a child of God or not. But you know when you look like God, then people say that person's a child of God. See, it's got nothing to do. Remember the centurion? Truly, this man was the Son of God. He said that when he saw how Jesus died on the cross. Now, he was the Son of God, whether you call him that, but he was so amazed at Jesus saying, Father, forgive them, for they don't know what they do. And he's saying, Woman, behold thy son. Son, behold thy mother. He looked at how Jesus was in the darkest hour of his life, and he said, this man's the Son of God. And he saw the miraculous that happened. And so I really believe with all my heart that the only way non-Christians will actually believe that you are a Christian is when you are a peacemaker. I believe that is how. It's a lot like the verse, by this shall all men know ye are my disciples. He didn't say, this is how you're my disciple, that all men will know it. See, you can be a disciple and no one knows it. Have you ever known someone and you did not know they were saved, and maybe you knew them for years, and one day you found out they were saved and you were shocked? Happens to me at work all the time. Someone, I'm just like, you? Okay, if you say so. But I didn't see that. I would never have guessed, because boy, they were like 00 nothings for God. They were God's secret agents. Boy, were they secret. But they hid it well. They hid it well. God's secret service. Which we're not supposed to be, by the way. We're going to get to that. You're the light of the world. You're the city set on a hill cannot be hid. We're not supposed to be hiding. Okay. But anyway, I believe with all my heart that when you're a peacemaker, people say, that's what God did. He so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life. That's what God did. When you make peace with people, then you resemble your heavenly Father. Because what does he do? He sends the sun to shine. He makes the sun rise on the evil and the good, and the rain to fall on the just and the unjust. And Jesus says this. He says, that you may be children of your Father which is in heaven. Now I'm getting way ahead in the Sermon on the Mount. But he says, if you love your enemies, you're like God. You know what he says? If you only love people who love you, you're just like unsaved people. If only nice people are nice to me, you know who I'm like? Everybody else. Everybody's nice to people who are nice to them. If you only greet your brethren, he said, people that you know. If you're only nice to people that you know, if you're only nice to people who are nice to you, he says, you're just like everybody else. If you want to be like God, be nice to people who are mean to you. That's what he says. So, I believe with all my heart that you will be happy, that I will be happy if I am a peacemaker. Now listen, if you have some questions about this, I'm going to talk about it today, but if you have some questions about this, what I want you to do is wait till next week, because the very next week he says, the very next passage that we're going to study, he says, blessed are you when you're persecuted. Well, wait a minute, Jesus. Which is it? You're happy when you are at peace with people, or you're happy when you're at war with people? Which one is it? Well, it depends on why you're at peace, and it depends on why you're at war. And so if you're at war for the right reasons, you'll be happy when you're at war. But if you're at peace for the right reasons, you'll be happy when you're at peace. It just depends on the situation. And that's why Jesus says, blessed are the peacemakers, and in the very next passage he says, blessed are they which are persecuted. Because I don't need to tell you, if you're being persecuted, you're not at peace with the person who's persecuting you. So we'll get to that. We'll talk about that next week. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. I'm not going to go here, but I want to mention it. Have you ever... Okay. You may remember, we studied the peace offerings. We studied the peace offerings in the Old Testament, way back when we were in the beginning of Leviticus. And the peace offering was interesting. The peace offering was an offering that was shared. So there's a sin offering. The sin offering was an offering for sin. Some of it was burned on the altar, and some of it was eaten by the priests. But only the priests could eat the sin offering. If you went and offered a sin offering at the tabernacle or in the temple, you didn't get any of that meat. Some of it was offered, some of it was burned on the altar, and some was given to the priest. You didn't get any. And that's a picture of the fact that salvation, you get, only priests get the benefit of salvation, right? Because we're a nation of priests, right? We're a royal priesthood, a holy nation. So every believer is a priest. So only a born-again Christian, a priest was born into the family of Aaron. Only a born-again Christian can receive that salvation of Jesus Christ. Unsaved people can't get it. But you know the peace offering was different? The peace offering, some of it was burned on the altar, some of it was given to the priest, and some of it the person who offered it got it. So the peace offering is a picture of being at peace with God, and listen, and at peace with people. Did you know that because Jesus Christ died on the cross for your sins, you get the benefit of that? God gets the benefit of that because you're his child. But listen, but unsaved people get the benefit of now you can forgive them. Unsaved people actually share in the sacrifice of Jesus for you. Because you were forgiven, and now you go forgive them. And you know what you have? You can have a certain amount of fellowship or peace between you and a non-Christian, because now I'm not mad and fighting at them and hate them anymore, because you forgive them, because God forgave you. So the peace offering is a picture of something. You have peace with God, but you have peace with other people as well. Well, what about when people don't want to have peace with you? That's a different topic, because we're going to get to that. But listen, and this is the most important thing. In fact, if you miss everything else in the sermon, don't miss this. The peace offering was a sacrifice. The peace offering was a sacrifice. Now listen to this. There is no peace without sacrifice. There is no peace without sacrifice. And I want you to understand this. This is the most important part of the message. The reason we can't have peace with one another is because we are not willing to sacrifice. That's why. Because there is a sacrifice required to have peace. If I've offended someone, done something wrong, I have to sacrifice my pride and go and apologize. I have to give up something. I have to sacrifice something. And then they have to sacrifice something to make peace with me, to forgive me. They have to give up their pride and their desire for revenge. There is no peace without sacrifice. Now listen, this is the same statement. God made peace with us by sacrificing his son. And that's what the peace offering was picturing, was a spotless animal with no blemish, which is Jesus, he's the sinless Son of God who was sacrificed. And now there is peace with God. That's the part that was burned on the altar. peace that benefits the priest, and then peace that benefits the person who came and offered it, who wasn't the priest. But they could have peace too. All three of those people had peace now between each other. And listen, this is so important. Peace in the Bible is not a feeling. We have totally changed the English language now, and we've made peace a feeling. Peace is not a feeling. Listen very closely. You can have a peaceful feeling, but the word peace in being peacemakers is you're not making a feeling. Peace is that you're not fighting with someone. Like war and peace. There's war in Ukraine now. When will we know there's peace? When there's no more fighting. Then we'll say, now there's peace. So listen, peace is not a feeling. We're all looking for a feeling. But peace is not a feeling. Now, you can have good feelings after you're not fighting anymore, right? So if you have a problem with someone, and you're all tense and frustrated, and then you go make things right with them, and now you're not fighting with them, there's peace. But then, after that, you're going to have a good feeling. You're like, whew, so glad to have that taken care of. Yes. So peace is followed by a feeling, but peace is not the feeling. Peace is when you stop fighting. That's peace. It's not like when they signed the treaty to end World War II, or to end World War I, or to end the Revolutionary War. It's not like they all went, don't you feel peaceful? In fact, the people that lost were not happy at all, but at least they weren't fighting anymore, right? It wasn't about the feeling, folks. We're so obsessed. We are a culture obsessed with our feelings. It's not about feelings. But there are feelings involved. The feelings will follow. But when the Bible says, blessed are the peacemakers, it's saying we need to stop fighting with each other. We need to stop fighting with our family members. We need to stop fighting with church members. We need to stop fighting with friends. We need to stop fighting with relatives. We need to stop fighting with our coworkers. We need to stop fighting with unsaved people. We need to stop fighting. Well, Pastor, what about Jesus said, I didn't come to bring peace, but a sword? That's next week. Come back next week, we'll talk about that. But this week we're talking about, and this is where we're going to get to that, we're almost going to turn there, it's when it's in your power to have peace with someone. If it's not in your power, if someone's persecuting you and they're determined to kill you or persecute you or talk bad about you, you can't change that. That's not your problem. But what if you have the power to make peace and you refuse? That's when you look like the devil, not like God. If you want to be called the children of God, when it's in your power to make peace, you need to make peace. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called. Not they shall be the children of God, but they will be called the children of God. By who? Well, yes, God will probably say, yeah, that person looks more like me now since they quit fighting with their husband or their wife or their kid or whoever, their neighbor, coworker. That person or somebody on Facebook or whatever. They stop fighting so they look more like me. Yes, that's part of it. But I think what it really is that other people will look at you and go, that person looks like a Christian. I think I've told you this story before. Anyone here ever heard the pineapple story? It's a missionary to Papua New Guinea. We just prayed for Papua New Guinea. But Otto Koning, he's still alive. I've met him. He was a missionary to Papua New Guinea, and he had pineapples. He had a whole field of pineapples, and the natives in the jungle there were always stealing his pineapples. So he would get a dog, and then all the people moved away, and he didn't even have anybody to share the gospel with anymore because they were scared of his dog. So he got rid of the dog, and then he was mad, and he hired a watchman, and then the watchman was stealing the pineapples, and then anyway, he was always mad at them, always fighting with them because they were stealing his pineapples. I mean, he had a right to be upset. They shouldn't steal his pineapples, but they kept stealing his pineapples. But then he decided, you know what, I'm going to give my pineapples to God. So he said, God, the pineapples belong to you. I'm tired of getting mad about these pineapples getting stolen. So he decided to trust the Lord, and then the pineapples kept getting stolen. He's like, God, they're stealing your pineapples. What ended up happening was he just trusted the Lord, and he just gave the pineapples. He's like, God, they're your pineapples now. They're not mine. I'll be okay. You know what he did? He was at peace. He was no longer fighting those people who were stealing his pineapples. And one day they came to him, and in Papua New Guinea, or at least in this tribe, they called the white man Tuan. That's what they called the white man. And so they came to him, and it means like God or something, because they came flying in the sky in a plane and thought of him as being like God, so they called him Tuan. So they said, Tuan, you've become a Christian now. And at first he got mad, like, what are you talking about? I've been a Christian for 25 years and I'm here to try to help you be a Christian and all you do is steal my pineapples. But something told him that he shouldn't say that, and he listened to that little voice in his head. This time it was the right kind of voice. And so he said, well, why do you say that? And he said, well, all these years you told us what a Christian was like. You said Christians have love, joy, and peace, long-suffering, and Christians are peacemakers, blessed are the peacemakers. You told us about Christians forgive and they don't get angry. All these things you said about Christians, and we thought, man, Christians sound like amazing people. We would love to meet one someday. Oh, sometimes God sends us on the mission field so we can, because we got something we need to learn, right? And he said, but now you've become a Christian. Hey, was he a Christian before? Yeah. Was he saved? Brother Buchanan, you know, that came preached here down in Bearwood, he likes to say this. He says, you can be saved and not be a Christian. The reason he says that is because the word Christian means follower of Christ. And if you're not obeying Jesus, you're not actually following him. So you're saved, but you're not a Christian because you're not following Jesus. That's his thing he likes to say. And there's some truth in that, isn't there? If Christian means follower of Christ, follower means you're following him, you're doing what he says. If you're not obeying him, are you following him? Well, not really. And so that's what he likes to say. But I would say, yeah, he was a Christian. He was saved. It just depends on what you mean by the word Christian, right? The disciples were called Christians first in Antioch. You know, it was people who called the people in Antioch Christians. It wasn't God that called them Christians. It was the people in Antioch who said, those people are like Jesus, and they named him followers of Jesus, followers of Christ. That's what Christian means. It means follower of Christ. So they said, Tuan, you became a Christian. Now, he was a Christian. He was saved before that. But I want you to think about this. I want you to think about this. They didn't call him a child of God because he didn't act like one. Isn't that true? He didn't act like one. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. You know why so often people in the world and other Christians, they don't call us children of God? Because when they look at us, we don't look anything like God. Well, how do I look like God? Am I supposed to be perfect? No, the Bible doesn't say, blessed are the sinless, for they shall be called the children of God. You notice it doesn't say that here? Blessed are the sinless. Blessed are the flawless. Blessed are those which never do sin, yea, throughout their whole lives thereof. Blessed are them which never, ever do anything wrong, for they shall be called the children of God. No, it says, blessed are the peacemakers. You see, you're going to sin, you're going to fail. But then you can go back and make peace with that person that you sinned against, that person that you failed. Or you can go back and forgive the person who sinned against you. See, you have the power to make peace. You don't have the power to be sinless, but you do have the power to make peace. The Bible teaches us how to make peace. And it is in Romans chapter 12, so please turn there. Romans chapter 12. So this is the question. Wait a minute, how in the world can I make peace? There's so many people who don't want to have peace with me. How can I make peace? Well, Romans chapter 12 explains to us how to do this. Verses 17 through 21. Romans 12, verses 17 through 21. This is an explanation how to be a peacemaker. Hey, if being a peacemaker will mean that other people will say, you know, that person's like Jesus. Wouldn't you love it if someone said that you were like Jesus? I don't know if anyone's ever said that about me. I don't know if anyone's ever said that about you. But wouldn't we all want someone to say that about us? I would love that if somebody said that person's like Jesus. And I'm not saying it to me to give me a big head. I'm saying if they actually thought I was like, that would be amazing. And I'm sure you would want the same thing. So Jesus said, you want other people to think that you're like Jesus? Then be a peacemaker. But here's why. Why don't we want to be a peacemaker? Well, we would like it if there was a peacemaker app. Maybe there's a peacemaker app, so you can download the app and you can log in and you can play a little game. It'll give you a few coins. And then it'll say, you reached peacemaker level. And everybody looks at you and there's this glow around your head. And they say, he's a child of God. We would love that, wouldn't we? If there was some magic formula, some button we could push. But remember, there's no peace without sacrifice. Oh, that's why it's so hard. Hey, I struggle as much with this as all of you. That's why it's hard to be a peacemaker, because We have to sacrifice to make peace. And listen, God sacrificed to make peace with us. It's amazing. Even God could not make peace with us without sacrificing his son. It's always called in the Old Testament the sacrifice of peace offerings. If you look it up, look up the word peace offering. I did a search this morning. Peace offering. It says sacrifice of peace offerings. Sacrifice of peace offerings. It's a sacrifice. And so God sacrificed Jesus for us, but we're going to have to make sacrifices in order to have peace. Remember, the animal died, but didn't someone bring that animal? And didn't the priest have to kill that animal? Yeah. There had to be a sacrifice for peace. How to be a peacemaker. Peacemaking 101. It's right here. First of all, verse 17. Look at this. Recompense to no man evil for evil. Okay, starting out, before we've even made peace, you're going to dig the hole deeper with the person if you're mean to them after they're mean to you, right? If you do evil for evil. So, fine, Michael, you think I'm a terrible preacher. Well, here's what kind of a church member I think you are. Okay, now we just took it to a whole nother level, didn't we? Right? Think about it. If you want to make peace, you're digging the hole deeper. You're making the peace harder if you pay back evil for evil. If you treat them the way they treated you, even though it feels so good. Doesn't it? If they tell somebody something about you, and then you're like, well, like I'm telling you, so-and-so said this about you. Well, you know what kind of person that person is? Boy, I can tell you stories about them. All right, here we go. Evil for evil. That person does not mean you, does not mean them. Back and forth it goes. And it feels so good, and it's our natural, and it comes from the devil, because he just loves to get people spinning on the crazy cycle, like the Bible says. Like, not the Bible. Well, the Bible does talk about it, but it doesn't use the word crazy cycle. That's Emerson Eggers. But anyway, he loves to get people on that. So starting, the very beginning is don't recompense evil for evil. So start with don't do to them what they did to you. Is that a good place to start? Yeah, so, Emerson Eggers likes to say this. He's like, his love motivates her respect motivates his love. That's the rewarded cycle. What was the crazy cycle? Without love, he responds without respect. Without respect, she reacts without love. Without love, he reacts without respect. Without respect, she reacts without love, right? So a man is disrespectful. No, a man is unloving when he feels disrespected, and a woman is disrespectful when she feels unloved. And it goes back and forth, right? And it's a crazy cycle. They're going to spin on a crazy cycle for a while, he says. Some of you have seen those videos. Okay, and so you run like this, and then he says, how do you get off the crazy cycle? Well, one person has to say, my wife, if it's the man, he says, my wife, now, it's not a marriage sermon, but it's a good illustration, because it can happen in other ways, other people. We all have crazy cycles, okay? Just different people, different situations. Might be at work. You might be like, a person at work might be like, well, you're a hypocrite. You'd be like, well, you're an idiot. And back and forth we go, Okay, so he says, the wife is disrespectful to him because she feels unloved. And the husband's like, well, and then he says something back to her. Now she feels unloved, so she's more disrespectful, and he's more unloving, goes back. So he says, the way you get off the crazy cycle, and this is peacemaking, right, is one person reacts differently than the person is doing to them. So one person says, okay, she was disrespectful to me, if it's the husband, and so he says, but I'm still going to be loving to her even though she was disrespectful to me. Or the wife, the husband was disrespectful to her, and so it was unloving to her, and so she says, he was unloving to me, but I'm still going to be respectful to him. And then he says, who makes the first move? And he says, the person who sees themselves as the most mature. Ooh. Whoever, if you think you're the most mature person is the one who's going to get off that crazy cycle and be the way God wants them to be without it. And what are we doing there? We're not recompensing evil for evil. Okay, so peacemaking starts with, and you haven't done anything, you haven't created the peace yet, all you did was you stopped making it worse. Does that make sense? So you start by okay, that person was mean to me, I'm not going to be mean back to them. That's how you start the peacemaking. That's where it begins. Provide things honest in the sight of all men. Now that word honest actually means honorable. It's just we use the word, it's honorable to be honest and not tell lies, so we use the word honest different today. We use it to mean not telling a lie. But in the Bible, it will say truthful, if it means that. Honest actually means honorable. So it says, provide things honest in the sight of all men. So in other words, stop paying back evil for evil and think about your reputation as a Christian. Think about what's honorable to other people, right? That's a good start, isn't it? To stop and go, okay, first of all, I'm not going to do what to the person what they did to me. And then second of all, I stop and think, wait a minute, I'm supposed to be a child of God. People are supposed to look at me and see Jesus in me. And when I'm paying back evil for evil, am I like Jesus? No, he said, Father, forgive them, for they don't know what they do. Jesus didn't say, thou nailest me to the cross, the Lord shall smite thee with lightning from heaven thereof. Jesus didn't say that. He said, Father, forgive them, they don't know what they do. If you want to be like Jesus, if you want to be like God, then you don't pay back evil for evil. So he says, provide things honest in the sight of all men. Think about your reputation. Think about how you look to other people. You haven't made peace yet. You just stopped doing to the person what they're doing to you, and you started thinking about your reputation as a Christian. That'll change, won't it? Like if I think about my reputation, I go, ooh, I better be careful what I say, what I do now, because right now, what I do and I say, that reflects on Jesus Christ. That reflects on Christianity. So now it will help me. It'll give me self-control, won't it? Okay, it says, then here's the verse that really explains what you were saying, what you might have been thinking, what I might have been thinking. Well, what if the person doesn't want to make peace with me? What do I do? It says here this, if it be possible, as much as lieth in you, live peaceably with all men. Okay, first part, if it be possible. Are there people who will always hate you? And no matter what, they're never going to be your friend? They're never, you could give them $10,000 and they might probably throw it in a ditch. Or if they took it, they would never acknowledge you gave it, and they're never going to be nice to you, right? I mean, there are people that no matter what you do, they're always going to hate you. That's true. There are irreconcilable people. That's true. That's why it says, if it be possible. Now do you understand when Jesus says, blessed are the peacemakers? He's not talking about the impossible situations. He's talking about the if it be possible. He's talking about when you are able to reconcile, you need to reconcile. There are people you will never be able to reconcile with. Listen, that's not your responsibility. That's on them. That's on them. If it be possible, that's first of all. Second is, as much as lieth in you. Do everything in your power. If the person doesn't want to be reconciled to you, is that in your power? It's not. So it's not your problem. By the way, what if the person wants you to disobey God, to do something wrong in order to have peace with you? Is that in your power? It's not, because God is a higher authority than that person. So you never do something wrong to be reconciled to someone. That's as much as lieth in you. That's not in your camp. They have to change their expectations of you in order for you to make peace with that person, because they're trying to get you to do something wrong in order to be your friend. Here, drink. Here, come do something wrong with me, and then I'll like you and be your friend. No. And then they're like, well, then we're never going to be friends. Okay. That was said it. That's fine. That's your choice then. Okay? That's not in you. So if it be possible, number one, sometimes some situations aren't possible. It's not your problem. It's out of your hands, out of your control. I mean, God could do a miracle, but it's not in your hands. Peacemakers are people who make peace when it's possible to make peace, when it's in their hands. Okay? So as much as lieth in you, if it's in your power, okay? Live peaceably with all men. Now, does all mean all there? Yes. So don't pick and choose. Don't say, well, I don't like that person because they were mean to me in high school, so I'm not going to ever talk to them again. Or that person, no, that's not true. You need to be at peace with all, you need to live peaceably with all men. Now, what does that mean? It doesn't mean you have to be their best friend, but to live peaceably means you're not fighting with them. Remember, peace is not a feeling. See, that's one of the reasons why people think, I can never forgive, because they think forgiveness is a feeling. Forgiveness is not a feeling. Forgiveness is that you're not going to do anything wrong to that person. You're not going to mistreat them anymore. You're not going to treat them the way they treated you. You're going to treat them the same way you treat everybody else. It doesn't mean you're going to be their best friend. It doesn't mean you're going to trust them. Sometimes you can't trust somebody because they're not trustworthy. But you can forgive them. You don't have to trust them. Okay, so there's a difference. Live peaceably with all men. Do everything in your power to be at peace with everyone you know. And once you've done the best you can, if they don't respond, it's not your problem. That's where we get into blessed are the peacemakers. It's amazing. You will be happy if you're at peace with the people that you can be at peace with. And this is where it goes to a whole nother level next week. And that is, you will also be happy when people aren't at peace with you. You're going to be happy no matter what. Because the people who refuse to be at peace with you, that's how they treated Jesus. That's how they treated the prophets. And you're not better than Jesus, and you're not better than the prophets. So don't expect to be at peace with everyone. Expect to be at peace with the people that you can be at peace with, and then be happy when the people who are against you because they were against Jesus and the prophets too. It's amazing, but a Christian can be happy in all circumstances. But that's next week's sermon. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. So he says, if it be possible, as much as lieth in you, live peaceably with all men. And he says this, dearly beloved, avenge not yourselves. Now here's the thing though. Okay, what did we cover? We covered don't pay evil for evil. Don't do to the person what they did back to you. Think about your reputation. Okay, if it's possible to make peace, make peace. If it depends on you, make peace. And make peace with everyone you can, all men. Don't pick and choose your favorites. Whoever you can be at peace with. Okay, but now what about that person that can't stand you? What about that person who won't make peace? What about that person who's lying about you and telling your friends things that are wrong and calling I've had people who were mad at me for something. Be careful because I'm live streaming. I'm going to get in a lawsuit. This was years ago. But I've had people call up government authorities just to punish me. I hadn't done anything wrong, but just because they were mad about something, which does that ever happen in politics? We're going to investigate this person. We'll find something, right? Just to punish me. I was shocked. It was like, you're my friend, and then just because I made a choice you didn't like, now you're going to... It was all nonsense. And the governing authority person came and said, well, this was all baloney, but I had to show up because I got a phone call, so you have to investigate. But yeah, obviously it's nothing, and they left. It was nothing. It turned into nothing. But folks, there are people who no matter what you do, they're going to persecute you. No matter what you do. And here's the interesting thing. Well, what about that? That doesn't seem fair that I have to be nice to people who are mean to me, and they're mean to me, I'd be nice, mean to be nice, mean, I'd be nice, mean to be nice. When does it end, Pastor? Can I be mean after they've been mean to me for a week? Nope. How many times do you forgive? 70 times 7? 408, right? And that's per person, per day. Add that one up. Because he said, Lord, 7 times in a day. And he said 70 times 7. That's the same brother. So that's 490 times a day. Per person. Go do the math on that one. Okay? But listen. Well, Pastor, when do I get to be mean to that person? At some point, right? What if the person's being mean to me for years? What about ISIS? What about Al-Qaeda? What about people in Muslim countries? What about Richard Wurmbrand, who was tortured for Christ for 13 years in a Romanian prison? Wait. This is getting crazy. God, you're expecting too much. How in the world can you say, just be kind to people and forgive them over and over, no matter what they do? It doesn't make any sense. Now remember, there are 4 authorities. If your brother or sister is being mean to you, you should tell your parents. They're the authority that's supposed to keep justice in the home. If your coworker is being mean to you, you should go talk to the boss. Because they need to have peace. So there's a governing authority that's in charge of everything. If a fellow church member is being mean to you, you should go talk to the pastor. It's his job to keep peace in the church. Okay? And if your next door neighbor is being mean to you and breaking the law, you should go call the police. Because it's the policeman's job to enforce the law and protect you from your next door neighbor. Okay, but we're talking about situations where the person is being mean to you, but you can't actually get them in trouble. There's nothing the authority can do. Now, what do? What if the person's not breaking the law and they're not a member of your church and you're both grown and you don't have parents and you don't work with them? Then what do? And that's probably most of the situations. What do then? Over and over, just forgive, no end in sight, no end in sight. Hey, that's the devil telling you. Listen, that's the devil telling you that you're just going to be nice to that person forever and nothing's ever going to change. Listen, dearly beloved, avenge not yourselves, but rather give place unto wrath. To give place means to get out of the way. So if I said, Gregory, I want you to give place to me. You're sitting on a place, okay? Okay, oh, I said I want. Gregory, give place to me. look, I'm giving him a command. Give your place to me. I'm giving you a command. Ready? Look at that. Yep. Move over. What just happened? Gregory moved out of the way and let me sit here. Listen. Give place unto wrath. Most of my life I didn't understand this verse because I was reading the wrong translation. Modern translations don't translate it right. The King James is translating it word for word. It's give place unto wrath. It's not that you're getting rid of your wrath. That's not what it's saying. It's saying you're giving place to God's wrath. This is the part that they never told you. When you don't return evil for evil, and the person's mean to you over and over again, and they're irreconcilable, and you keep being nice, they keep being mean. You keep being nice, and you think, I'm being tromped on. I'm getting my feet wiped on. I'm a doormat for this person. I can't believe it. Where is justice? I'm so mad at the world. Life isn't fair. Yeah, it seemed to me that maybe your parents taught you that life wasn't fair, by the way. Okay? But where is the end of this? This is where the devil gets in. He goes, yeah, see, there's never any justice. There's never any end. You just have to get tormented by this person. There's nothing you can ever do because they're not breaking the law and they're not under the same authority as you. And so there's nothing you can do. And really, you're better off punching them in the nose. Really, you're better off screaming at them, yelling at them. Really, you're better off never being their friend, never being nice to them again. And the devil does that, and that's how he gets everybody in the world to fight with each other, and it never ends. The Hatfields and the McCoys, husbands and wives, brothers and sisters, co-workers, never ends, because the devil tells everybody, if you don't do something about this, no one will. If you don't do something about this, no one will. If you don't do something about this, no one will. But that's a lie from the devil, because the Bible says, avenge not yourselves, but rather give place unto wrath. So, when Gregory moved and I sat there, he was giving place unto me. Now just call me wrath. He gave place to wrath. I got to sit there. Whose wrath are you giving place to? Very next sentence. It is written, vengeance is mine. I will repay, saith the Lord. When Gregory moved out of the way, and my name is Wrath, my wrath went there. Hey, when you move out of the way, you keep being nice and move out of the way. And you know what's going to happen? God's wrath is going to come on that person. Whoa. Did you know that it's biblical to pray God's wrath on a person who won't repent? Whoa! Pastor gave me permission to pray God's wrath. Did you know that Paul said, I delivered that man up to Satan for the destruction of his flesh? Do you know what else Paul said? This is amazing. He says at the end of his life, he's thinking of all the people that have wronged him. But he divides them into two categories. He says, at my first answer, no man stood with me, but all men forsook me. That was everybody in Ephesus. In the end, they all turned against Paul at the end of his life. They all said he was an idiot. He didn't listen to God. But there's preachers today who say the same thing about Paul. They say the same thing the people in Ephesus said. Oh, they didn't want to see him go. They were mad that upset that he was going to Jerusalem, and they were sad they weren't going to see him anymore. And they all turned against him. Because he went to Jerusalem, he got arrested, he ended up in Rome. They're like, Paul went and turned himself in and got himself arrested when he had a vibrant ministry. He was stupid, he didn't listen to the Holy Spirit warning him not to go to Rome. People said that, people still say that today, I can't believe it, people still say that. But anyway, he said, at my first answer, no man stood with me, all men forsook me. So everybody in Ephesus turned away from it. You know what he said? I pray God that it may not be laid to their charge. Can you imagine? I mean, think about this. We have a pretty small group here. Can you imagine if all of you stood up after the service, said, Pastor, you're an idiot. You can't preach. You preach too long. That won't be true. You can't preach. You don't know how to play guitar. And everything you said was nonsense. I couldn't understand it. I disagree. I think what you said wasn't true. I think I have a different interpretation, and I'm never coming back to church. You all walked out. And next Sunday I came here, there was no one here. That's what happened to Paul. At my first answer, no man. So he suffered way more than me. At my first answer, remember Jesus in the garden? They all left. He's all alone. He says, but I am not alone because my Father is with me. But Paul said this. At my first answer, no man stood with me, but all men forsook me. I pray God that it may not be laid to their charge. You know what he was doing? He was saying, I'm going to be nice to them, even though they're mean to me. But then he said this. Listen closely. Alexander the coppersmith did me much evil. The Lord reward him according to his works. Did you know? He said that in the exact same passage. He said, all those people who turned against me, I'm praying for them. God, don't punish them for that. They're just being stupid, God. It's okay, I forgive them. Don't do anything to them. See, he wasn't repaying evil for evil. But Alexander the coppersmith did me much evil. The Lord reward him according to his works. Why, Paul? Why are you being like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde? He's not. Alexander the coppersmith was someone who was unrepentant. And he was against Paul, and he was against the gospel, and he was teaching false doctrine, and he was hardening his heart, and he was unrepentant. See, he knew those other people, they're just ornery, like you and me. And he's like, it's okay. But you know what? If someone does not repent, you know what Paul was doing? He didn't say, Alexander the coppersmith did me much evil. Timothy, tell him he's a poop head. He didn't say that. He didn't say that. He said, Alexander the coppersmith did me much evil. The Lord reward him according to his works. He didn't go on social media and go on a Alexander the coppersmith rant. He didn't tag him, Alexander the coppersmith. You know who you are. He didn't say that. What he did was he prayed, God, Alexander the coppersmith is not repenting. I'm going to give place unto wrath. God, you take care of him. If he doesn't repent, you take care of him. The rest of them were just, Father, forgive them. They know what they do. You take care of them. That's what he said. Listen, if you're nice, the person's mean. You're nice, the person's mean. You're nice, the person's mean. And the devil comes into your head and says, see, it'll never change. You're just a doormat for that person. You should be mean to that person back. You know what you need to tell the devil? God will take care of that person. The Lord reward him according to his works. That's the lie of the devil, that there's no justice. There's always justice. If someone is mean to you over and over again, and you're nice to them, mean to you, and again, it's not a situation that an authority can deal with. Okay, that's what I'm saying. Trust me, give place to wrath. Vengeance is mine. I will repay, saith the Lord. Therefore, if an enemy hunger, feed him. If he thirst, give him drink. For in so doing, thou shalt heap coals of fire on his head. If you are meeting someone's needs and being kind to them when they're being mean to you, oh, that's going to burn them up. It's going to be hard. You ever been nice to someone, they're mean to you? Man, it makes them mad. You're going to pour coals in the fire on their head. And it actually says this, the rest of it in Proverbs, that's a quote from Proverbs, and the Lord shall reward thee. So he says this, be not overcome of evil, but overcome evil with good. Be a peacemaker. How do you be a peacemaker? If it be possible, as much as lieth in you, live peaceably with all men. Do everything in your power to make peace. But remember, there's no peace without sacrifice. God sacrificed his son to make peace with you. And you will have to sacrifice your pride to make peace with other people. But if that person will never make peace with you, listen, God will punish that person. Vengeance is mine, I will repay, saith the Lord. Don't worry about a person who won't make peace with you. But if it's in your power to make peace, and if you are a peacemaker, people will look at you and say, that person's a child of God. That person reminds me of Jesus Christ. Can you imagine how happy you will be if you're like Jesus Christ? Blessed, happy are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the sons of God. Wouldn't it be wonderful if Dell's Baptist Church became known in our community as Peacemakers? We're not ready to change our name to Peacemaker Baptist Church yet. But boy, wouldn't it be wonderful if we got that reputation as community. Let's pray. Father in heaven, I know it was long, but Father, boy, do we need this. Oh, we live in a time where the devil has got us all spinning on the crazy cycle.
husbands and wives fighting, children and parents fighting, brothers and sisters fighting, co-workers fighting, relatives fighting, people fighting on social media, people rioting in the streets. There's so much anger. Father, fill us with your Spirit so that we can be peacemakers. And I know there will be some people that will not make peace, and that's next week. Blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness. We can have joy even when we don't have peace. But Father, that we would have the joy that when it's in our power to make peace, we would humble ourselves and go to that person and do whatever we need to do to make peace with them. You know, Father, the situation's here. You know our hearts. And I pray that you would show us how we can be peacemakers. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.